coming out, and I want to thank very much the Center for Fiction and also the Centro Primo Levi for sponsoring this. And can you hear me? Yeah, okay, great. I'm seeing people that I recognize in the crowd. This is lovely. So thank you all for coming, and the board. Now, I want to just say there are a couple of things. We're going to have a few things that we're doing. And Shaul Bassi, who's our partner in Italy, could not be here tonight. We've just got this huge momentum that, you know, for this project and couldn't make it here. So, but he did tape himself. It's a little bit like one of the Woody Allen films. But you'll get to hear him talk, and he is speaking. He's the professor at Foscari. He's also the head of Beit Venezia. And this whole project was begun or started or brainstormed by David Scott Castan and Shaul Bassi in the Ghetto in 2013 in the late summer, early fall. And it was and David Scott Castan is a Shakespearean at Yale, wonderful scholar, and he thought that I should be the one doing this because our company has done so much work in Italy. Anyway, so he now, Shaul Bassi, he was the one who introduced me to Shaul. Shaul and I have started to work on this. Great, he's been in New York quite a few times now to help us, and also in America. But he, in this little video that he taped last night, I think, he is in the German synagogue, la Sinagoga Tedesca, and it's the most beautiful place, and it was built in 1528. So it's in the Jewish ghetto, and if you come, when you come, it's absolutely essential, and any of you who've been there know, you know, how stunning the thing is. So he's speaking from here, which is really critical, you know, and poignant that this is where he speaks to us. So he's going to talk a little bit about the project and his part in it, and that will be your introduction to Shaul Bassi for this evening, anyway. So, and then we'll pick it up again. So, I'll just get it going.
Hello, this is Shaul Bassi. This is Venice. This is May 2nd. I'm here in the ghetto. It is raining outside, so I wish I could show you the square where the Merchant of Venice will go on stage in July. But as an alternative, I'm standing inside the oldest synagogue in the ghetto, the German synagogue, built in, or rather created in 1528. And this would have been Shylock's synagogue if Shylock had been a real Jew of Venice. I wish I could be with you in New York, but there's so much work to do here. So I want to say hello to all my friends and fellow travelers in this amazing adventure, all the Colombari friends, Karen, the actors, all the people who have supported this project, and the audience. As I said, I wish I could be there with you, but I'm very happy to be representing the Venice side of the project from the place where it will all happen a few months from now. Different angle of the synagogue. I remind you that the ghetto was created in 1516, so the 500th anniversary of its establishment coincides with the 400th anniversary of Shakespeare's death. And this is why we thought that it was the perfect time to have and to envision the first historic performance of the Merchant of Venice in the ghetto. A very audacious project, a bold task, and we really thought hard here in Venice on how to do it, and we were very, very lucky and privileged to come across the work of Colombari. We were adamant that this was not supposed to be a production imported from some other place, a ready-made Merchant of Venice created in London or New York even by some very famous company. We really wanted a good company, a great company that would work with us here in Venice, that would breathe the ghetto and its history, its heritage, to really understand that this is not just or only a theatrical project. This is something more. This is bringing the most famous or most infamous Venetian Jew of all times, the fictional Shylock, to the place where real Jews lived and have lived for 500 years, where they were segregated, where they were deported, where they suffered, and where they also became and still are an essential part of Venetian society and history. So we are incredibly grateful that we can have a stellar cast led by the vision of Karin Kunrod to multiply Shylocks in the Ghetto. There are great expectations about this production. We have benefited from the invaluable contribution of friends and donors. We want really to thank them. This is going to be part of a whole year program of events, but this is certainly the most precious artistic event related to the 500 years. We will be, the company will be performing in the square, the Ghetto Nuovo, which is actually the oldest ghetto, the place where the word ghetto comes from. And we studied together in the summer of 2015. We gathered different scholars, and the actors came, and Karin came. So this is really a made in Venice production. This is really a production made in the ghetto that will, I think, bring out all the values, the negative and the positive values attached to the ghetto. We, I think, all feel responsibility of this project. We feel that we are doing our best to live up to this task. We feel that the whole world will talk about the Merchant of Venice in the ghetto. I think we don't want, and this was something else we really agreed upon from the very beginning, we really didn't want to create a sort of philological version where Shylock and Antonio and Portia wear the costumes that 16th century people would have worn. We really want a contemporary production that speaks to the world of today, that speaks to the conditions of intolerance, of racism, of anti-Semitism of today, but drawing on the legacy of the ghetto, on the ambivalence of the play of Shakespeare's Merchant of Venice, and the ambivalence of the ghetto as a place. Because the ghetto was a place of segregation, it was also a place where Jews and Christians started to interact. They made it possible for Venice to become the capital of the Hebrew book. The first Talmud was printed here in 1528. It allowed for this synagogue and others to be built by Christians following the indications and prescriptions of Jewish law. And it also basically enabled Shakespeare to imagine, to move the plot of the Merchant of Venice from the mainland in Mestre, where the tale by Ser Giovanni Fiorentino was set, to the Venice. The ghetto is not mentioned in the play, but the ghetto is presupposed then, so it's a sort of character, and it will be absolutely magical and unique to have it as the backdrop of Colombari's production. So Ca' Foscari University and the Jewish community are extremely happy and grateful to be working with Colombari, and this is an adventure that will culminate in July, but will also become, we hope, a book, will become a film, several documentaries will be shot, and so I think we are going to make history here, and I wish all the friends here and all of you great success and a very rewarding night. See you in Venice. Bye.
So as this goes out, I'll just, so that we can have a little bit of room here for some of the actors. I just wanted to let you know a little bit about the company itself, Compagnia Colombari. And we are a company that was born in 2004 in Orvieto, in Italy. And we started doing the medieval mystery plays across the city, across the city of Orvieto. And then we've also done, we're known for doing things in different places. For instance, the Walt Whitman in New York, we've done it about 17 different places, like Grant's Tomb, like Marcus Garvey Park, like Barge Music, and Joe's Pub, and Fort Greene Park, and so forth. So Brooklyn and Manhattan, Walt Whitman, and it's come time to do more Walt Whitman because there's an anniversary coming up. But from Song myself, we also did Monteverdi's Orfeo in the Palazzo Simoncelli a Ghetto, Italy, and then very recently Texts and Beheadings at the Folger Theatre and also at BAM this past fall. So we've been doing, and we've only made 7 pieces, but still, those are just a few of them. So in this particular, so we cherish, and of course in the ghetto, the piece is going to be on the stones of the ghetto itself, with the walls of the ghetto as backdrop, and the audience will be seated in a seating bank facing this synagogue, but facing that direction. So that's where the most beautiful architecture is. So those are the walls that we will see with our back to other walls. So, but it's very much al fresco. And Frank London, who's not here tonight, he's in Tel Aviv actually. He's our composer. He's one of the founders of the Klezmatics and amazing trumpeter. And in these last couple of days, we've been meeting, of course, for quite a few months, but he set some of the words to music, and we're going to start with some of that, and then we'll talk a little bit about it later. But I just wanted to introduce you a little bit to some of the people that are involved. So Paul, who's one of the musicians in the piece, and I'll just point everybody out, and he's going to be playing the accordion for this, and you'll see Reggie is playing Antonio, and Walter's the dramaturg. Michelle is playing Jessica. Let's see, Carlton is playing Salandio today, and Sora is playing Shylock, right? Number 1. There are going to be 5 Shylocks, so we can talk over wine about that later. And Shylock number 1, and then Myra is going to play Shylock number 3 tonight. Let's see, Linda, where are you? Linda's playing Portia back there. Chris is playing Bassanio. Abby's playing Nerissa, and did I forget anybody? Gigi is a vocal coach. So Gigi is a voice and text coach. So it's great to see everybody. These are the players for tonight. It's really a matter of seizing the occasion at this juncture, before everyone disperses and goes to other places of the world, because we're going to start on the 3rd of July. So, and work pretty intensively. So, all right, we'll try, yes, the opening song. It's, Comedy Tonight.
Non parli amore, l'amor non fa diventare ballerini, canterini, gaggiati e salterini. Ma chi cancaro parla d'altro, ma chi cancaro parla d'altro. Amore 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 nothing.
Well,
Any man in all of Venice.
Well, tell me now what lady is the same that you swore to make a secret pilgrimage, that you today promised to tell me of.
It is not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled mine estate. By something showing a more swelling port than my faint means would grant continuance. Wherein my time, something too prodigal, hath left me gauged. To you, Antonio, I owe the most in money and in love. And from your love, I have a warranty to unburden all my plots and purposes, how to get clear of all the debts I owe.
I pray you, good Bassanio, let me know it. And if it stand, as you yourself still do within the eye of honor, be assured my purse, my person, my extremest means lie all unlocked to your occasion.
In Belmont is a lady, richly left. And she is fair, and fairer than that word of wondrous virtues. Sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless messages. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued to Cato's daughter, Brutus' Portia. Nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth, and many Jasons come in quest of her. Oh, my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them. I have a mind presages me such thrift that I should questionless be fortunate.
Thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea. Neither have I money nor commodity to raise a present sum. Therefore go forth. Try what my credit can in Venice do, that shall be racked even to the uttermost, to furnish thee to Belmont, to fair Portia. Go, presently inquire, and so will I, where money is, and I no question make to have it of my trust, or for thy sake.
Grazie. Mille grazie.
Portia.
By my troth, Nerissa, my little body is aweary of this great world.
You would be, sweet madam, if your miseries were in the same abundance as your good fortunes, and yet, for aught I see, they are as sick that surfeit with too much as they that starve with nothing. It is no mean happiness, therefore, to be seated in the mean. Superfluity comes sooner by white hairs. Competency lives longer.
Good sentences and well pronounced.
They would be better if well followed.
If to do were as easy as to know what were good to do, chapels had been churches and poor men's cottages princes' palaces. It is a good divine that follows his own instructions. I can easier teach 20 what were good to be done than to be one of the 20 to follow mine own teaching. But this reasoning is not in the fashion to find me a husband, to choose me a husband. Oh, me that word choose. I may neither choose whom I would, nor refuse whom I dislike. So is the will of a living daughter curbed by the will of a dead father. Is it not hard, Nerissa? I cannot choose one nor refuse none.
Your father is ever virtuous, and holy men at their death have good intentions. Therefore the lottery which he hath devised in the 3 chests of gold, silver, and lead, whereof who chooses his meaning, chooses you, will no doubt never be chosen by any rightly but one who shall rightly love. But what warmth is there in your affection toward any of these princely suitors that are already come?
I pray thee, overname them, and as thou namest them, I will describe them. And according to my description, level at my affection.
First, there is the Prince Napolitano.
That's a colt indeed. For he doth nothing but talk of his horse. And he makes a great appropriation to his own good parts, that he can shoe him himself. I'm much afeard my lady his mother played false with a smith.
Then there is the County Palatine,
He doth nothing but frown. He hears merry tales and smiles not.
How say you by the French lord, Monsieur Le Beau?
Oh, Monsieur Le Beau! Il n'est pas un homme. God made him and therefore let him pass for a man.
What say you then to Falconbridge, the young baron of England?
I say nothing to him, for he understands not me, nor I him.
How like you the young German, the Duke of Saxony's nephew?
Very vilely in the morning, when he is sober, and most vilely in the afternoon, when he is drunk. When he is best, he is a little worse than a man. And when he is worse, he is a little better than a beast. I will do anything, Nerissa, ere I'll be married to a sponge.
You need not fear, lady. These lords have acquainted me with their determinations, which is indeed to return to their home and to trouble you with no more suit unless you may be won by some other sort than your father's imposition, depending on the caskets.
If I live to be as old as Sibylla, I will die as chaste as Diana. Unless I be obtained by the manner of my father's will. Well, I'm glad this parcel of wooers are so reasonable, for there's not one among them but I dote on his very absence, and I pray God grant them a fair departure.
Do you not remember, lady, in your father's time, a Venetian, a scholar and a soldier, that came hither in company of the Marquis de Montferrat?
Yes. Yes. Bassanio, as I think he was called.
True, madam. He, of all the men that ever my foolish eyes looked upon, was the best deserving of a fair lady.
Yes, I remember him well. And I remember him worthy of thy praise.
3,000 ducats.
I served for 3 months.
Well, for 3 months. Well.
For the which, as I told you, Antonio shall be bound.
Antonio shall become bound. Well.
May you stead me? Will you pleasure me? Shall I know your answer?
3,000 ducats for 3 months and Antonio bound.
Your answer to that.
Antonio is a good man.
Have you heard any imputation to the contrary?
Oh, no. My meaning in saying that he is a good man is to have you understand me that he is sufficient. Yet his means are in supposition. He hath an argosy bound to Tripolis, another to the Indies. I hear, moreover, upon the Rialto that he had a third for Mexico, a fourth for England, and other ventures he had squandered abroad. But ships are but boards, sailors but men. There be land rats and water rats, water thieves and land thieves. I mean pirates. And then there is the peril of waters, winds, and rocks. The man is, notwithstanding, sufficient. 3,000 ducats. I think I may take his bond.
Be assured you may.
I will be assured I may, and that I may be assured, I will bethink me. May I speak with Antonio?
If it please you to dine with us.
To smell pork. To eat of the habitation which your prophet, the Nazarite, conjured the devil into. I will buy with you, sell with you, talk with you, walk with you, and so following, but I will not eat with you, drink with you, nor pray with you. What news on the Rialto? Who is he comes here?
This is Signor Antonio.
How like a fawning publican he looks. I hate him for he is a Christian, but more for that in low simplicity he lends out money gratis and brings down the rate of usance here with us in Venice. If I can catch him once upon the hip, I will feed fat the ancient grudge I bear him. He rails against our sacred nation, and he rails even there where merchants most do congregate on me, my bargains, and my well-won thrift, which he calls interest. Cursed be my tribe if I forgive him.
Shylock, do you hear?
I am debating of my present store, and by the near guess of my memory, I cannot instantly raise up the gross of full 3,000 ducats. What of that? Tuval, a wealthy Hebrew of my tribe, will furnish me. But, soft, how many months do you desire? Rest you fair, good signor. Your worship was the last man in our mouths.
Shylock, although I neither lend nor borrow by taking nor by giving of excess, yet to supply the ripe wants of my friend, I'll break a custom. Is he yet possessed how much he would?
Aye, 3,000 ducats.
And for 3 months?
I had forgot 3 months, you told me so. Well then, your bond, and let me see. But, hear you, methought you said you neither lend nor borrow upon advantage.
I do never use it.
3,000 ducats is a good round sum. 3 months from 12, then let me see. The rate would...
Well, Shylock, shall we be beholden to you?
Signor Antonio, many a time and often the Rialto have you rated me about my monies and my usances. Still have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. You call me misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon my Jewish gabardine, and all for use of that which is mine own. Well then, it now appears you need my help. Go to then, you come to me and you say, shut up, you would have monies. You that did void your room upon my beard and foot me as you spurn a stranger cur over your threshold. Monies is your suit. What should I say to you? Should I not say, have a dog money? Is it possible a cur could lend 3,000 ducats? Or shall I bend low and in a bondsman's ski with bated breath and whispering humbleness say this? Fair sir, you spit on me on Wednesday last. You spurned me such a day. Another time you called me dog. And for these courtesies, I'll lend you thus much money.
I must like to call thee so again, to spit on thee again, to spurn thee too. If thou wilt lend this money, lend it not as to thy friends, for when did friendship take a breed for barren metal for his friend? But lend it rather to thine enemy, who if he break, thou mayst with better face exact the penalty.
Why, look you, how you storm. I will be friends with you and have your love. Forget the shames that you have stained me with. Supply your present wants, and take no doit of usance for my monies, and you'll not hear me. This were kind I offer.
This were kindness.
This kindness will I show. Go with me to a notary, seal me there your single bond, and in a merry sport, if you repay me not on such a day, in such a place, such sum or sums as are expressed in the condition, let the forfeit be nominated for an equal pound of your fair flesh, to be cut off and taken in what part of your body pleaseth me.
Contempt of faith. I'll seal to such a bond and say, there is much kindness in the Jew.
You shall not seal to such a bond for me. I will rather dwell in my necessity.
Fear not, man. I will not forfeit it. Within these 2 months, That's a month before this bond expires. I do expect return of thrice, 3 times the value of this bond.
My Vater Abraham, what these Christians are, whose own hard dealings teaches them suspect the thoughts of others. Pray you tell me this. If he should break his day, what should I gain by the exaction of the forfeiture? A pound of man's flesh taken from a man is not so estimable, profitable neither as flesh of muttons, beefs, or goats. To buy his favor, I extend this friendship, if he will take it so, if not, adieu. And for my love, I pray you, wrong me not.
Yes, Shylock. I will seal unto this bond.
Then meet me forth with the notaries, give him direction for this merry bond, and I will go and purse the docket straight, and presently I will be with you.
Hie thee, gentle Jew. The Hebrew will turn Christian. He grows kind.
I like not fair terms in a villain's mind.
Come on. In this there can be no dismay. My ships come home a month before the day.
Alack, what heinous sin is it in me to be ashamed to be my father's child? But though I am a daughter to his manor, I am not to his blood. Oh, Lorenzo, if thou keep promise, I shall end my strife, become a Christian, and thy loving wife.
For here he comes in the likeness of a Jew. How now, Shylock? What news among the merchants?
You knew. None so well. None so well as you of my daughter's flight.
That's certain. I, for my part, knew the tailor that made the wings she flew withal.
And Shylock, for his own part, knew the bird was fledged, and then it is the complexion of them all to leave the dam.
She is damned for it!
That's certain, if the devil may be her judge.
My own flesh and blood to rebel.
Out upon it, old carrion. Rebels it at these years?
I say, my daughter is my flesh and blood.
There is more difference between thy flesh and hers than between jet and ivory. More between your bloods than there is between red wine and Rhenish. But tell us, do you hear whether Antonio have had any loss at sea or no?
There I have another bad match. A bankrupt, a prodigal, who dare scarce show his head on the Rialto. A beggar that was used to come so smug upon the mart. Let him look to his bond. He was wont to call me usurer. Let him look to his bond. He was wont to lend money for a Christian courtesy. Let him look to his bond.
Why, I am sure if he forfeit, thou wilt not take his flesh. What's that good for?
To bait fish withal. If it will feed nothing else, it will feed my revenge. He hath disgraced me and hindered me $500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, heated my enemies, and what's his reason? I am a Jew. Have not a Jew eyes? Have not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions?
fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer as a Christian is? If you prick us, do not we bleed? If you tickle us, do not we laugh? If you poison us, do not we die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? If we are like you in the rest, we will resemble you in that. If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by Christian example? Why, revenge. The villainy you teach me, I will execute, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instruction.
I pray thee, tarry. Pause a day or two before you hazard. For in choosing wrong, I lose your company. Therefore, forbear a while. There's something tells me it is not love. I wouldst not lose you. And you know yourself, hate counsels not in such equality, but lest you not understand me well, and yet a maiden hath no tongue but thought. I would detain you here a month or two before you venture for me. I could teach you how to choose right. But then I am forsworn. So will I never be. And so may you miss me. But if you do, you'll make me wish a sin that I had been forsworn. Beshrew your eyes. They have o'erlooked me and divided me. One half of me is yours, and the other half yours. Mine own, I should say. But if mine, then yours. And so all yours. Oh, these naughty times put bars between the owners.
Let me choose. For as I am, I live upon the rack.
Upon the rack, Bassanio. Then confess. What treason there is mingled with your love?
None but that ugly treason of mistrust, which makes me fear the enjoying of my love. There may as well be amity and life between snow and fire as treason and my love.
Aye, but I fear you speak upon the rack, where men enforced do speak anything.
Promise me life, and I'll confess the truth.
Well then, confess and live.
Confess and love had been the very substance of my confession. Oh, happy torment. When my torturer doth teach me answers for deliverance. But let me to my fortune in the caskets.
Away then. I'm locked in one of them. If you do love me, you will find me out. Let music sound while he doth make his choice.
End of presentation. So we thought first, we would just, I would ask Reggie to come forward and Sorab, and Walter is already here, that we would just talk for a little bit, and about what happened last summer, because we had the great fortune to have a workshop last summer, 2015, in the Fondazione Cini, which is in that Isola San Giorgio, that funny little island where there's a deconsecrated church, and it's all just artworks and research for theater and what have you.
But no convent.
But no convent. But an amazing green theater, right? That no one's using. But anyway, We were there for 2 weeks and we worked. And so I think we have different subjects that we would be talking about. And then we can open it up for questions, if any of you have questions. We are doing this play the last week of July in Venice, in the Ghetto, the 26th through the 1st of August. We just added a performance. The first and the second dates are actually sold out already. Actually, it's kind of getting there, but we do have a new date on the 1st of August.
In short, buy your tickets now.
So, Walter, do you want to talk about the opening song? Because the opening piece.
Yeah, I have to say that working together, Karen keep working everybody in a very, very lovely way, but intense. So this is the honor and the pleasure of working with Karen. I did work with Karen for several productions. One was one of the memorable Henry IV of Pirandello, produced by Robert Brustein at Harvard. And this is, Merchant of Venice is the most exciting from my point of view for several reasons. I will be short. I did work for 20 years with the Italian Nobel Prize Dario Fo, that is the most distinguished representative of the Commedia dell'arte today, or certainly of the 20th century. What we did in Venice was a little bit blasphemy, I have to say, because the scholars, they recognize several pieces of the Commedia dell'arte Canovacci, what we call Canovacci, in several plays, Tempest, etc., etc. But they never put on stage pieces of Ruzzante, Angelo Beolco, the father of the Commedia dell'arte and of what we call the modern European theater, on stage, just in front of William Shakespeare, one of the masterpieces of William Shakespeare. So we did. So William Shakespeare, we start with the short presentation of the second prologue of the Anconitana, that is one of the plays of Ruzzante. And the company, we start singing Amorea, love, love, this is a translation that you translate. That is, this part, one line of this prologue. And then continue with the prologue in itself, that is an apology of love, but is also, for us as Italian, a linguistic problem. That means we will sing, and the actor, a wonderful Venetian, Francesca Saratoic, she's a great actor, and we had to change the 15th century Venetian, but it's Padovano, from Padua, because Ruzzante was from Padua, okay? In the modern Venetian. So the Venetian that will be sung by Francesca is a transformation, a metamorphosis of the 15th century. And so we perform according to the Commedia dell'arte style. Immediately after, we will have, of course, Antonio, and we will have all the company. So this production, from the linguistic point of view, is transnational, but is also transnational or crossing the time of the Italian language. So what we are doing now, thanks to Karen and her fantastic vision, is a kind of experiment, revolution, just modest, okay, honest and modest, but doing something that is the duty, the fundamental duty of the stage from Sophocles, Euripides, and Aristophanes. Reverberate on the stage what already exists in the society and make evident, visible, what we already know in some way or we feel, and this is the duty and the job of the actors, directors, dramaturgs. And I think that the work is not finished. I know that we will suffer for some months, because that is what without suffering, nothing very good came out. This is not the apology of the suffering, okay? But because of love, of joy, we know that that is the only path, okay? So this is the beginning of what I think will be Italy in some way. If, as we wish, you will be with us in Venice for the performances, you will see a very interesting blend of that means some images, ideas, symbols are confirmed and some are brand new and changed.
And we should say that Francesca Saratoich is playing Lancilotto. So Lancelot.
The transgender, you have to talk about that.
So Lancilotto, it's a woman playing Lancilotto as a man, but in Veneziano, this language, and we will call him Lancilotto, and it's played very simply by Francesca Sara, who has this voice of a man. It's extraordinary.
It's an androgyne.
She has my voice.
So you can imagine his voice in the body of the beautiful girl. Astonishing.
Yeah. So do you want to talk about about
so
languages?
Sohrab and I are going to discuss what we went through involving the languages. Sohrab doesn't know this. We decided for it, but he's game for anything.
With a glass of wine, sure.
The play the language of the play is in English, of course, Shakespeare. It must be, but Karen, in her brilliance, has added Street Venetian and Yiddish. Yes.
Well, we played with Yiddish last year, but we're going to work on Judeo-Venetian. And so this is the thing that, in fact. But there's some, so that's...
And it was fabulous. I say that. So the American actors, we come over and when we first get the gig, Sohrab and I are like, yeah, Venice. Yeah. What a sweet gig. We do a little rehearsing.
A little wine.
Hang out.
Gondole.
My Shah couldn't come, so it's like, yeah. And we got there, and this was not the case. We had jobs. We were to take the Italian actors who were brilliant.
I think of it and I speak decent Italian, not perfect, but decent. But if with my decent Italian, if I had to learn Petrarch or Dante in 11 days and perform it in England, for a native audience of Italians, how difficult would that be for me? And these guys just jumped in with feet. They went for it.
And when we weren't rehearsing with Karen, they would come and we would rehearse. Sohrab would have his couple.
Gigi wasn't with us.
Right.
She's going to have a time this tonight. But we took Gigi's task on.
And we drilled him, and it was the most fun.
It was wonderful.
It was so wonderful. And Davina, our dramaturg...
She's back at Yale.
She had to go back to Yale. It's funny, all this Yaleys. But that's another story. We'll go into that bula bula, baby. We would work, and we worked, and we worked, and it was the most fun I have had in years.
Yeah.
And I have pictures of Sohrab with his you worked with a lot with
Nico, he was a mask maker and a commedia dell'arte actor, so committed. We would wear the masks and do little improvs on the streets.
We did it at a restaurant. We performed. Karen had us performing in the fish market on the Rialto. We performed literally, and people would stop, and we performed in restaurants. And so then, of course, Sohrab and Nico brought out the masks and did a commedia scene in the restaurant while we were getting drunk.
Right.
It was fabulous.
And for all of Shakespeare's canon, I don't know any other play that is so, maybe ignorance because I don't know the whole canon, but I'm a sonnets guy myself. But no other play uses the history and the location of the play as much as Merchant does Venice. Othello doesn't need Venice. It starts there and goes into an island. Who cares where it is? Romeo and Juliet doesn't need Verona. There's nothing really of Verona. It's two houses, both alike in dignity. It could be in Reykjavik. Honestly. But working in Venice with masters, having lectures and talking and going to these places and actually working on the Rialto, on the bridge. I cannot imagine any poor sort of an actor who has to do this play without the stuff we did.
Right.
I'm like, those poor fools. Pity the fool. They don't know.
Or just being in the ghetto. We were rehearsing one day in the ghetto, and it's Italian kids still play outside, unlike American kids. And so the kids in the square naturally came over to see what was going on.
Yeah.
And they followed us to each little place where we went. And they would like boo me, which was fabulous, And they would cheer, they were like, it was like Shylock's play. It was, and they had the Hasidic guys throwing the frisbee who stopped to come watch. Tourists would watch and take photos. It was
liberating. It was truly theatrically and artistically a life-changing experience for me. Those 14 days.
Yes.
And I don't want to put too much pressure on the production team going, if that was a great 2 weeks, I wonder what the next 4 weeks holds for us. But I'm willing to take the risk and just go for it. And when I know that I have people like her at the helm, we're like, let's go.
So that's
our
presentation.
Great. Well, what we can do, we have, as you saw, 2 Shylocks tonight, and we plan to do it again in 2017 in North America. We are not going to be bringing all the Italians over, but when we do the play this time in Venice, it's going to be 10 Venetians and 6 Americans. So mostly in English, with 2 scenes in Veneziano, like we said, the first conscience soliloquy of Lancilotto, and then when Gobbo comes, this is played by Andrea Brunieri, who's actually from Venice, but lives in Orvieto and is playing. So these 2, and then Bassanio is also in Italy, in America, Chris will play Bassanio, but in Italy it'll be Michele Guidi, who is working like crazy on his English right now. So we're giving him moments to vent in a sort of Italian, aria fashion, and oh, you're beautiful when you're angry, speak that Italian. I think of Kevin Kline and Fish Called Wanda and how crazy he gets over when she speaks. So it's like, so little moments like that. We have these 10 Venetians and 5 Shylocks in the plan is that each Shylock will play another character as well, but all the other actors only play one character, so that each Shylock gets to step into another role and almost play against himself.
I hate to interrupt my beautiful colleague, but
Please
you
do.
tell an actor with a role like Shylock, okay, there's going to be 5 of you guys. the reaction is much like Sohrab's face.
But to her credit, I didn't know. I mean, the first time I am actually the right age to play Shylock, because my daughter would be 17 now, or 20 even.
Yes,
but
your
I don't
daughter.
have the gestalt of the Shylocks as they're normally cast. So when she first cast me, I was like, yeah, right, And then I read it and I had so much fun with it that I don't mind sharing it, because I get to do Shylock and I get to do Graciano, who is a raging anti-Semite. So having done one-man plays where I play 8, 9 people, neo-Nazis and abused, and the abuser and the abusee, I like schizophrenia. No, I don't. Yes, I do. So this is great. And so and there are times when all 5 of us will be speaking together across the ghetto.
It is amazing.
It really, and it's
amazing.
fun to get the energy of another actor, to be one character, but to have this lady play the same person as I'm playing, and have
to speak at the same time. It was as if the whole ghetto was coming,
vibrating.
to say, wait a minute,
Yeah.
take me seriously.
Yeah. It's where the play sort of comes unhinged because Jessica leaves, and so I had a dream that Frank London, who, well, you know, he's an amazing trumpeter, so I had this dream that he would be standing on top of the Sinagoga Tedesca playing this trumpet. So, you know, there's this thing in that all the scholars say that Shylock doesn't like music, and I just don't buy that. He doesn't like the kind of music that is sung salaciously by the carnival people because he's afraid, and rightly so, that Jessica might be stolen. You know, or Jessica is at the age of 17 or 18, we say, where the hormones are really going, where, you know, they're doing all kinds of things to get out of the house and get the hell out of there. And they, and he's afraid of that. There's been no mother for 5 years, yet another Shakespearean father-daughter without a mother. And we reckon, well, how long has that been? So we're thinking 5 years? Those are prime years for a girl not to have a mother. So, you know, as we know, and the absence of that feeds that. So then he says, I don't like the drum. It's very Dionysian. I don't like the drum or the wry-necked flute, you know, that comes around in that moment. But why should that mean that he doesn't like music at all? I mean, I just, you know, I just don't get that. So I think, and the music of the Hebraic tradition is astonishingly beautiful and haunting and minor. And so Frank and I talked about it, and at the moment of Jessica's leaving, and there's a whole lot, I mean, that we're putting together now, but that she's also the torchbearer, which Lorenzo says, you know, the torchbearer is the one who is in the front who takes the hit if, you know, in a crowd of people. I mean, the torchbearer, it's a dubious honor, basically, because, and that is given to Jessica to do. So when she leaves and all the carnivalesque, and we're working with some masks, of course, but different, you know, very primitive kind of masks. The first one is Lancilotto, who wears a Sartori mask in the very opening, but otherwise we're working with very primitive, brutal masks in this scene. And then Frank will play. He will be on a rooftop, probably not the Sinagoga Tedesca, but it will be the balcony of Shylock's house. And there's one of the pieces, one of the houses that we have access to the balcony and a roof and a window. So I'm hopeful. The window we're still waiting on, but you know, that better happen. So we're working on that. So that music, you know, that, and he's now in the process of composing a piece, something that music would become, would materialize, that music, and then in that moment, all the 5 Shylocks emerge, you know, and then start speaking this text that typically in another scene, Salanio and Salarino have spoken that he says. And so last year we played with the Yiddish, mein Tochter, you know, and now because anyway, there's a lot of discussion that I don't want to get into all that, but we are going to look into Judeo-Venetiano because Shaul said that that's what it would be, but we don't have access to the main expert there, so we're trying to find that out. If anyone knows, that would be amazing. We're working on that. Yeah. So, are there any questions? We don't want to. Yes.
I do have a question.
Please.
To you as the director,
Yeah.
and to the actors, particularly those who play Shylock.
Yeah.
The scene, if you prick me, do I not bleed, is often portrayed as a plea for tolerance by Shylock. Very straight, sometimes overacted. But there was a school of criticism that emanated, I think, from Harvard, which said that Shakespeare was a man of his times and that anti-Semitism reigned, and that speech was not meant by him, speaking as the author through a character, as a plea for justice and tolerance, but rather, so the criticism goes, that it was a wink that Shylock was putting one over on the people he was speaking to, and was really, it was like it was an aside to the audience. and watch this, I'm going to make them think that I'm tolerant and I'm asking for tolerance, when he didn't. All he wants is revenge. As a director, were you aware of that kind of tension, and why did you choose to go the direction you chose?
Well, we're still exploring it, for one thing, but yes, I'm aware of a huge tension about this whole thing, and it's incendiary. You know, so we have to, I think that we all are Shylock too, because we all know what it is to be an outsider and be left out. You know, women, gay men. I mean, the fluidity of the gender, I mean, right now in universities, there's all kinds of things about pronouns that's just beginning. And I mean, I think Joan of Arc was, a they. I mean, honestly, it's curious, there's a lot going on. It's a very interesting moment right now to be in the ghetto, to have that speech, which are actually those words. So, we're not scholars, we're artists, and we're poets, and we're prophetic. And I can pretty, much say that. And so we just listen and think about, just like a painter goes and what comes at him or her. And I just gonna take it, And I know what everyone says. I don't know how to fix that. I just don't know. I just know that the five, we do in Myra's gonna do it in North America, but in Italy, it's an English woman who happens to be living in Venice, and we started off with, I think it's very interesting that it's a woman that speaks that. And I just like and when Howard Jacobson was there listening, he thought, and I know we were interviewed in the BBC program that aired in England, and he was interviewing me, but then he said, wow, just to see Sora play the first Shylock, and it wasn't this avaricious older guy, rubbing his hands and all that stuff. And then, I don't get that. I mean, I just don't understand. And then, because it's really two merchants, they're rivals, and then but the sorrow of the grief of the daughter leaving is absolutely clear. I mean, that's not, there's grief that, motors and fuels that whole response. I think that the opening, when he says, well, a piece of your flesh, and it's even a little salacious right there, but, and between men, like in Men in a Locker Room or something, and so if we go there, I think it starts to become more cathartic, if we can really go to a raucous place, and to go to the extremes beyond the civility of, how we should be behaving with each other in regular life. But in the theater, it should really spill out and be Dionysian. So I think we have to go there and tap the kind of bitterness and the anger and the grief that doesn't, it finds its way in many ways, as we know, with all our relationships in ourselves. So I mean, yeah. Yes.
I would just like to comment on this by now well-known debate. First of all, if you read Shakespeare, there's constantly kind of an undercutting of obvious meanings and obvious expectations in his texts, and it's a marvelous tool for actors. Mm-hmm. He is an actor's writer. Mm-hmm. And in this particular, with Merchant of Venice, yes, we know that there was anti-Semitism rampant, even though there were hardly any Jews left in, except for Queen Elizabeth's doctor. Yeah, who was Jewish. But otherwise, London was also, however, a very cosmopolitan city, like Venice. And people from all different places came very much together, as they did in Venice, worked with each other, and that's why the speech is very interesting. He says, I will deal with you, I will do all of that, but I will not eat or drink with you. So there's, in the text itself, and I would say the scholars are really, in this case, too dry And they presume what Shakespeare thinks, which we don't know. And there's enough in the text to give pause. And it's true that in his own time we presume that he was played more caricaturist, but the text is something else.
But that's
And
how I feel about
exactly.
it. I'm not sure what the original intent was, but if I just take the text as the text, some people, put Mozart's Così fan tutte on a flapper boat in a cruise ship in the Mediterranean. You can do all of that as long as the text supports it. And I think if the text supports Shylock being genuine, then I feel like I've been given license by the dead man who wrote it, 400 years ago, to do it. Because there's no more obvious winks and nudges and, yes, I believe he was played by the caricature, with a hook nose and by the original actor, right, who played a lot of his fools, supposedly, yeah. So I don't know that, but the text that I'm using, that I'm being directed in, is very much a very human text. It's very human, and he is not. And I think, Karin, we've talked with Shaul about it too, that Shaul doesn't want, because he's Jewish and a leader of the Venetian Jewish movement almost today, that it doesn't have to be, Shylock was the most beautiful character ever and we must, No, he was human, he had his faults, he was quite crappy in some regard, and also very human in others, and we have to just meld those two and go with I'm just going with what text I have on the page. Hopefully a good edition, right? Just not a made-up edition, a real edition. So, and then whatever I can use is fair game.
And we're Yaleys. We don't pay attention to Harvard. Right?
Maybe, okay, words.
Just two words, and then
Okay.
your question. The 2 words are very simple. What I do know as dramaturg and as poets, the great poets, the genius, when they express themselves through poetry or through drama, it's impossible just synthesize them in one stereotype. They represent humanity and dialectic of history. Because, of course, great respect for the scholars. Be sure that we did work from the point of view of history, from the point of view of the literature, from the point of view of the anthropology, psychology, linguistics. So the Saussure is with us, the scholars are with us, that means we work with them, but at the end of the day, this text is much more, much more than that. This is why we are all in love, it's not too difficult, I have to say, with that poet, okay? And as Jean-Paul said, often with my finger I point out the moon, the scholar that described my finger and not the moon.
I think I'm not the. Yes, please.
Okay, first of all, I really applaud you. The two of you really. You took my words for me, because this is exactly what I think about the Merchant of Venice. The Merchant of Venice was used as propaganda by Hitler, but we all know that this is not what the Merchant of Venice is all about. And the one thing, I was very lucky to meet Karen before and to talk to her about this project, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited because also I am from Venice. And so I cannot wait to be there, because I know what you were talking about, being in Venice, being in the Ghetto, doing what you did and stuff, and I know that there's nothing more beautiful than this for my city, my dying city. This is the best thing that can happen. Thank you very much.
I didn't introduce Jennifer. Jennifer is our new general manager.